Fourth question. Now again UPSC played a small trick in this. That it said that critically discuss the characteristic features of psychological types in culture of American Southwest as observed by Ruth Benedict. It was just asking you the culture personality school and the perspective of Ruth Benedict. And what is the perspective of Ruth Benedict? Now when you look at culture personality school, three perspectives. Personality influencing culture, culture influencing personality, and personality influencing culture, culture influencing personality, vis-a-vis. And in this, I see personality influencing culture is Ruth Benedict. And culture influencing personality, Margaret Mead. And personality influencing culture, culture influencing personality is whom here? Abraham Gardiner, Cora Dubois and Ralph Linton. I know that Abraham Gardiner and Ralph Linton categorically talks about basic personality. And Cora Dubois talks about model personality. So all of these perspectives are discussed. Now in that they are just asking you this part. Now you see, it is talking about Goutham, it is talking about culture configuration, culture complex, cultural traits, cultural pattern, Apollonian and Dionysian genius which is seen to be observed. And you see Zuni Red Indians, Kwakatul Red Indians, how are they fundamentally varying? Dobu Red Indians, how are they fundamentally varying? How are they fundamentally changing with respect to these different aspects? And one small reference that has to be made is with respect to nation character studies. It is just asking you some overall perspective of Ruth Benedict, nothing more. This was a simple catch. Then talk about some criticism of Ruth Benedict, right? Criticism that has to be spoken. Then discuss the Acheulean and old woven traditions of Indian Paleolithic culture with suitable illustrations. A straightforward question. Right? In fact, old woven tradition was a PYQ in 2019. It was a 10 marker. Now they have asked you for 15 marker. Why? Because they have asked you on Acheulean traditions. Right? You know that there are different traditions which are existing in the context of Paleolithic period. Depending upon whether it is lower, middle or upper. We see Levalloisian, we see Acheulean, Abuvillian, right? Then old woven traditions. Then in the context of upper Paleolithic, Aurignacian, Magdalenian, right? Gravitian, Saulitrian, all of these are what? Different kinds of tool technologies which are seen to be existing, right? So that is one simple understanding. Straightforward question, I am not discussing much. What is genetic counseling? Briefly discuss various steps involved in it, right? We see that it is present in 9.4b also, it is also present in 12th chapter. Both of the chapters we have genetic counseling being present. Now when you look at genetic counsel, simple understanding is what? Understanding the inheritance chart which is seen, and in this majorly I will have to look into what? I will have to look into the pedigree analysis dimension, right? First I will have to understand, then I will have to inform, then I will have to influence the individuals with respect to convey the necessary data that is seen to be existing, convey the information that is generally observed to be existing. And more than anything, you please remember that whenever I am writing genetic counseling, I can never neglect the dimensions of what? Eugenics. Because welfare genetics as a branch of anthropology has been growing to a larger extent. Although welfare genetics, although eugenics was one of the major reasons for reinforcing racism in the West, but in general we see welfare genetics happen to be one of the growing fields. And in that context, the fundamental reason why we look at genetic counseling was majorly with respect to the dimensions of eugenics. Right? You know there are three different branches of welfare genetics: eugenics, euthenics and euphenics. Now in the context, whenever I am looking at the genetic composition, I am focusing on eugenics wala dimension. So that aspect has to be written, then discuss about the various steps, discuss about the significance, then discuss about the criticism that is seen with respect to genetic counseling. Now what is the criticism with genetic counseling? Sometimes it might result in targeting. Sometimes it might result in targeting. Sometimes it might result in an element of discrimination. Now what happened, my dear, if I get to understand this, the genetic composition of an individual, it might be misused to a larger extent. So in that context, discuss about the critical dimension of genetic counseling. Now tell me one country which has regularized, which has formalized this process of genetic counseling. In India, do we have genetic counseling? Manaku telusu asalu adi. Right? In which country is it formalized? In fact, in US, it is majorly formalized and institutionalized. In fact, before looking at any alliances or before looking at any marital relation, they will have to look at these dimensions of genetic counseling to a larger extent. So that is taken care of there.